and welcome to JAX London. I've got Tracy Miranda here with me.
Hello.
Hi Tracy. How's your session? You talked about GitOps, right?
Yes, that's right. No, it was really good. Lots of good feedback.
And well, I have to ask, is DevOps already all news? Because if this really is the case, you know, is GitOps just an iteration of DevOps, or is it actually something new?
Yeah. Well, I sort of start off my talk and we sort of say DevOps, you know, lots of people are saying the term DevOps has become overused and they're using it for every single thing. So like containers, that's DevOps, builds, that's DevOps. And I guess it's just a sign that the term has been around a lot, and in the tech world we're tuned to respond to new things and to events. And so I'd say DevOps was really good when we moved to the cloud, but now when we talk specifically about going cloud native, we need something new, a new set of practices and a new set of things we can do that help us to go faster, and that's where GitOps comes in. So I guess you could see it as the next level, but what DevOps was to cloud, GitOps is to cloud native.
Oh, and how does it work? I'm curious. And what's the concept behind it?
So the main things is, like GitOps would say, it's operation by pull request. So Git is the source of truth, so your whole configuration, everything about every environment is all stored inside Git. Everything is tracked through pull requests, and it's all observable. So if there's a problem, you could look, you'd be able to see, you know, what pull request affected that and made the change. So in that way, we've moved a long way from things like, you know, the configuration being set up by someone who might not even be at the company or nobody else understands it. But while that's the essence of GitOps, there's a lot more to it in terms of practices and things like atomic operations. So yeah, but at the very core, it's just operation by pull request and using Git.
I see. And you mentioned that it's sort of the next step, right, after DevOps. A lot of people see it as a hack, let's say. Does it pay off? What are its benefits? I mean, what's the difference, main difference?
So I think when you start doing things in a cloud native way, and specifically using things like Kubernetes, all of a sudden you're going to be in a distributed system. The old rules don't apply. You don't even know where your code is running. It could be running on, you know, it's in any sort of cluster, anywhere in the world. But you need to manage that, and you need to know when things are going wrong and how to recover from that. So we talk about sort of stability and throughput. How do you make changes, and how do you make sure nothing breaks? So that's where GitOps becomes really, really important, because unless you have these good practices around it, in these really highly complex systems, you're just going to come really unstuck. So it's you know, it's really, really important to do this if you want to operate in those environments.
Yeah, and are there any tools or technologies attached to the idea of GitOps?
Yeah, no, there's starting to be a number evolving. So what I talked about today was Jenkins X. And Jenkins X was actually designed with the whole idea of GitOps in mind. So in specifically sort of saying everything would be put in Git, so the configuration is in Git. Things operate by pull request. When we talk about promoting things, that all happens via Git. So Git is the interface for all the changes for Jenkins X.
And can you remind the audience what Jenkins X is? We know what Jenkins is, but Jenkins X?
Yes, so Jenkins X is a CI/CD tool that operates in the cloud native, so it's based on Kubernetes. But unlike Jenkins, so Jenkins X actually includes Jenkins as the build server, but it covers a lot more. So it focuses on the delivery side as well, so getting things from staging to production to actually running. And the whole thing about Jenkins X is that it builds on Kubernetes, but it really, really simplifies it. So Kubernetes is hard, and Jenkins X tries to give you an opinionated way that you can just focus on delivering your software using Kubernetes, but without having to worry about it, because it makes some very opinionated decisions for you.
So this would be its simplicity, would be its let's say unique selling proposition, or
exactly. It takes away the choice. It integrates a set of tools. So the folks who develop Jenkins X are constantly looking at the landscape. So it includes things like Helm, and we'll use Docker containers. So it's kind of the best of breed. What are the best tools for doing cloud native today, and how do we integrate them in a very specific way so we can get on with what we want to do and not sort of fuss about ops things. So I think that's the real power of Jenkins X, just saving you time and making those decisions for you.
And does it play nicely with the other tools?
Oh, absolutely.
Other cloud native tools, let's say.
Yeah, so when you talk about the best of breed tools, most of those are the open source ones. So things like Kubernetes, things like Helm. I think they're looking at stuff like Draft and then Docker containers as well. So it sort of pulls these all together, and a lot of it is just built on open source, but makes it easy for people who just don't want to tinker, just to have something they can use. Yeah.
It sounds great. The only issue I would say is that in the end it's another tool, right? That developers would have to learn, even if it's simply would have to get used to it and learn the hacks and tips and tricks. And I would like to know what are the pain points that it addresses.
Yeah, so one of the things, so if you look at the flow for getting started, it's really simple. It's also multi-cloud, so if you were to get started, it could, first of all, create a cluster for you just with one command. So you just do JAX create cluster, and then you'd put 3 letters for your cloud. So it could be AKS or EKS or GKS, depending on which cloud you want to do, and that's it. And then it will give you a default cluster. You can kind of configure it with some things, but you don't need to know all the ins and outs of things like, let's say, RBAC or namespaces. So multi-cloud is a big one, and then just the simplified use through the command line. So you could then just do a quick start. So quick start will give you a new project. We've got templates for Go, for Spring, for Python, and the community are contributing new ones all the time. So that's really nice because it's sort of just evolving through all these different contributions. But then you can do a quick start, and all of a sudden you have code, and then you can just push that through. And it's just really, really easy to get started compared to if you had to start with all those tools from scratch. So I think that's just the real power of it.
Yeah. Sounds great. And one last question. Let's go back to GitOps. And what is the next phase? I mean, is there like a plan, a next level or something?
Yeah, well, I think in this space, everybody's trying to grapple with it. It's just very early stages for early adopters. I think what we'd like to see is how can we make it easier for people to adopt these practices. And there's some bits we're never going to solve because it's culture, so you can't simplify it. You have to do the hard work of changing the culture around your organization, getting used to doing more and more frequent deploys and organizing your code in specific ways, or things like trunk-based development. But then for some things, the tools do make a difference. So we kind of say, tools won't fix everything, but for everything else, there's Jenkins X. So it does sort of help in that way, and just making it easier for people to get on and deliver code. That's the goal.
That's great. Well, in this case, we should keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and then you have to do the Jenkins X.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Great. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.